So what was your favorite scene in the film?
My favorite, if I had to narrow down one favorite scene, it would be the scene where he's trying to make the ransom phone call in the phone booth.
Oh,
But she has to end up, helping him what to say. And it's so natural for her. But
yeah.
he keeps on screwing it up, putting the coin in. Oh, madam, I don't have your dollar. I have someone else's. Like, there's a lot of funny little lines in there. And you can see, like, the frustration on her face. And he's, like, hitting his head against the
He's
phone.
trying so hard.
Yeah. So I always like that scene really well.
Oh, I like the one where they're in the bank and she's robbing the bank. Because at that point it does get really like you feel the seriousness of the scene. And then as soon as it's over, she's like, I wasn't gonna shoot you. It's like, you did an amazing job. And he's like, I'm so forget. She's like, I wasn't no, I wasn't gonna shoot you. But if he'd have been in on the gag, if he'd have been in on it, he would have totally blown it up because he's so bad at that stuff. But the fact that he wasn't was so good.
What's funny at that point, she's the one that's taken over the kidnapping.
Yeah.
Him, she's in control almost, even when she's tied up. I feel that she is in control of most of what happens. Like he is pretty much just going by what he does. Like I said, she's the one who tells him write the ransom note. That doesn't work. No, the phone call doesn't work. That's why she says to write the ransom note.
Yeah.
All these little ideas that she has, he would be clueless because, like you said, he wasn't forward thinking in any of this. He just knew that he was out of a job and that he was mad at Mr. Neville, and that was it.
And she could put an end to it right there because she really doesn't need him as much as he needs her. But she doesn't. She just keeps on with it because she's able to keep playing this thing out to get back at her father. And it's just it was such a fun scene. But I would say that's probably my second favorite scene. My favorite scene is by far the phone call. The phone call's so good.
Yeah, it's
like
really fun.
that's such a great just standalone scene. Oh, it was so good. Well, what's your final thoughts on this film?
I would recommend A Life Less Ordinary. I've mentioned it to several people, and not many people have ever heard of it before. And I think it's, even if someone only watches it one time, I think they'll have a good time. I don't think, like you said earlier, it's a light movie. It's a fun movie. It's pretty quickly paced. There's a few slow spots at the cabin, in the dream sequence a little bit, but I think it's got enough momentum and enough things going for it that most people can find something that they'll like. And it's original enough where it's like, wow, I haven't seen a movie like that, And like you said, I think there's a lot of good little individual scenes that are better than the whole movie. But I do see a lot of talent went in it. And there's a lot of good little comedic lines in there as well, sprinkled throughout. They're not like, maybe not like laugh out belly laugh loud, but they're fun and maybe chuckle. And I think it helps the movie flow a little better. What about yourself?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. I'm definitely going to take some time off from it, but I want to get back and watch it a second time just to kind of pick up on some of the things that I missed out on the first time through. Again, Cameron Diaz, you cannot state too much about how good she is and how well she dominates a scene that she's in. She just has this way of just taking over, and I think that this film is another great example. I mean, there's so many good examples of it, but I think for her performance, it's worth it. For the comedic moments, it's worth it. When it comes to I think the Angels could have been replayed, like figure out how to work that into it. But I was pretty happy with it. I felt like my time was well spent, and I'm looking forward to watching it again. And I really did appreciate it too. You're really good at this. That's why I like when you suggest the films, because you're good at finding these little films that are a little bit lower budget, but it's like early career films
Yeah, yeah.
for directors, for writers, for actors, and they're just character driven. And I think they're a lot of fun. And this is a perfect example of one that's very character driven, that has a lot of fun and a lot of enjoyment in it. So I would recommend it as well.
Yeah, I'm glad you liked it, and I think most people will like it if they check it out. It's on the Hulu right now.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to check it out on there.
So if you got it, it's free.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this episode of Adam and Jake on the movies. Next week, what are we going to do next week? Do we have an idea for next week, or do we want to make it a... Are you really feeling something right now?
I did have a movie from the '90s, but it didn't have to be a definite. It was just it's a genre film. It's something like we haven't done before. It's a Julia Roberts movie.
Let's do it. What is it?
Called Sleeping with the Enemy.
Sleeping with the Enemy. Okay.
Have you heard of this one?
I've heard of it, but I have never seen it.
I think it's from 1991. Julia Roberts, Patrick Bergen, I think is who it is.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. So next week we'll be back with Sleeping with the Enemy.
And I haven't seen this movie. I've seen it once. So
Okay.
I've only seen it one time, all the way through. So
Let me see if it's where it's available.
I do have it on. Well, what wouldn't help you, but I think I do have it on DVD.
Oh, it's on Prime.
Okay, Amazon Prime.
Yeah, so we'll go.
So yeah, this will be a completely different kind of a movie than we've done, I think.
All right. Well,
So-
let's do it. I'm looking forward to it. So we'll be back hopefully next week, unless something else happens. I would be probably my fault in my world that's collapsing. But yeah, we'll be back next week with Sleeping with the Enemy. So I'm Jake.
I'm Adam.
And we will see you next time. Thanks, guys.
Adios.